Howdy, folks. Here with our last kind of writing tip video, and this is going to be about the idea of voice. Voice is really just how it sounds. It's the words you choose, it's the inflection that you use. Like we all have a voice, and we all have a style of talking and thinking that's unique to ourselves. And so, what we want to do is practice cultivating this in our own narrative writing. So there's a sense of personality that comes along with our writing, because this we get to break free of our traditional, like, you got to write in proper formal language, you always have to use full sentences, and you have to be so rigid with some of the academic writing we can do. We get to break from that with our creative writing here in our narratives. So what voice is what voice is the expression of sort of your personality and your emotion through writing, which you can imagine is really tough to do. I can express my voice. You can tell I'm excited when I talk about this because you can see my face and you can hear my voice, and I get so excited that sometimes I can't even get the words out. Versus, I guess we're going to learn about writing today. I suppose you have visual cues and auditory cues that tell you, oh, here's what he's feeling, right? You don't get that when you're writing. All you have is black text on a white page, and you've got to get someone to believe that your character, that your narrator feels and thinks certain things without specifically telling them, right? You don't just say, I'm angry every time you're angry. That's not truth, right? We don't say that. So we've got to get our readers to believe that, and we do that through voice. So the first thing is we got to figure out, who is this person that is being represented in your narrative. Is this a funny story that you're telling me? Is this a serious story? Is this a somber and kind of sad story? Is this an adventurous and exciting story? You've got to figure out what that emotion is, and kind of reflecting back in your life, who were you when you experienced this event that you're writing about? So I have some tips to help out with that. So number one is, like I just said, choose your emotion. Figure out what emotion you are writing from. And again, try to show that. Don't tell me that. Don't say I'm angry. No one says I'm angry when they get angry, right? They start just like flipping tables and taking swigs of their water bottle angrily, and they get really flippant, and maybe they insult your shoes, and you're like, dude, these are my good shoes. Why would you say bad things about my shoes, right? It's the actions that they take. So think about that as you're describing things. Think about your sentence length, and this is my favorite part about creative writing, is you get to break sentence and paragraph structure, right? Take a look at any novel. Take a look at Catcher in the Rye. Catcher in the Rye, which is right here. You're going to notice that some paragraphs are like absurdly long, and other paragraphs are ridiculously short. You get to vary how long your sentences are, how long your paragraphs are, and have that fit the mood, right? Look at the difference between these two sentences. There's a different feel, there's a different voice, depending on what we decide to add in. And then I also want you to think about, really be particular about what word choice and what connotation is connecting with those words. Here are two sentences that basically say the same thing, but they have very different feelings. So anxiety submerged my consciousness, right? I use that word submerged, that verb gives me the essence of like drowning. I'm drowning in anxiety. This is much more of like an overwhelming kind of depressive feeling versus unease slithered down my spine. I get kind of this more gross, maybe fearful, maybe I'm writing a little bit more of a scary story, less of a sad story. And then last part, be you, right? You get to create your own personal voice here. You get to express who you are, who you were, and what you're learning. And obviously you have to keep it professional as much as you can, but you get to have fun. You don't have to take on a different personality. You get to use your personality, so long as it works and it's conveying what you want it to convey. Wanted to end with a great example of this, and this is actually the first line of Catcher in the Rye. So listen to the voice, listen to the type of character that is starting to be built with this first sentence. If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you probably want to know is where I was born, what my lousy childhood was like, how my parents were occupied and all before they had me, all that David Copperfield kind of crap. But I don't feel like going into it if you want to know the truth. Like, what kind of person says, I don't feel like going into it? My lousy childhood. This guy's dismissive and he's kind of abrasive. And on first sentence, I don't really like this guy. Like, why am I reading your story? Like, you've got a terrible attitude. It's intentional. Like, this is J.D. Salinger, like, capturing that angsty, annoying person that can't figure out what their life is about. And they're struggling a little bit. And because they're struggling, they push everyone else away. That's what Holden's doing. So obviously, you don't have to write like this. Hopefully, you don't feel like Holden, but maybe you do. Um, this is just a great example of voice. So good luck in creating and curating your own voice. I'm excited to read them.